let's take a look at how to build and use component-level evals. In our example of a research agent, we said that the research agent was sometimes missing key points. But if the problem was web search, if every time we change the web search engine, we need to rerun the entire workflow, that can give us a good metric for performance, but that type of eval is expensive. Moreover, this is a pretty complicated workflow, so even if web search made things a little bit better, maybe noise introduced by the randomness of other components would make it harder to see little improvements to the web search quality. So as an alternative to only using end-to-end evals, what I would do is consider building an eval just to measure the quality of the web search component. For example, to measure the quality of the web search results, you might create a list of gold standard web resources. So for a handful of queries, have an expert say these are the most authoritative sources that if someone was searching the internet, they really should find these web pages, or any of these web pages would be good. And then you can write code to capture how many of the web search outputs correspond to the gold standard web resources. The standard metrics from information retrieval, like F1 score, don't worry about the details if you don't know what that means, but there are standard metrics that allow you to measure of a list of web pages returned by web search, how much does that overlap with what an expert determined are the gold standard web resources. With this, you're now armed with a way to evaluate just the quality of the web search component. And so as you vary the parameters or hyperparameters of how you care about web search, such as if you swap in and out different web search engines, so maybe try Google and Bing and DuckDuckGo and Tavili and U.com and others, or as you vary the number of results, or as you vary the date range that you ask the web search engines to search over, this can very quickly let you judge if the quality of the web search component is going up and thus make more incremental improvements. And then of course, before you call the job done, it would be good to run an end-to-end eval to make sure that after tuning your web search system for a while, that you are improving the overall system performance. But during that process of tuning these hyperparameters one at a time, you could do so much more efficiently by evaluating just one component rather than needing to rerun end-to-end evals every single time. So component level evals can provide a clearer signal for specific errors. It actually lets you know if you're improving the web search component or whatever component you're working on and avoid the noise in the complexity of the overall end-to-end system. And if you're working on a project where you have different teams focus on different components, it can also be more efficient for one team to just have its own very clear metric to optimize without needing to worry about all of the other components. And so this lets the team work on a smaller, more targeted problem faster. So when you've decided to work on improving a component, consider if it's worth putting in place a component-wise eval and if that would let you go faster on improving the performance of that component. Now, one thing you may be wondering is, if you decided to improve a component, how do you actually go about making that one component work better? Let's take a look at some examples of that in the next video.